Hey guys, welcome to Reform Nerd. Today we're going to be looking at Jojo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, a few of you have asked me to do a video on this anime, and I do want you to know that this won't be the last one that I do. It just so happens that there's a random moment in this anime that really reminded me of another random moment in the Bible. So I do plan to do another video or a few other videos with more life lessons that point to scripture. Okay, so in this case I want to talk about Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, which is essentially this anime where you see a bunch of buff dudes that remind me of Fist of the North Star, if you've seen that anime. And it's your typical good versus evil anime. Now, our story, for those of you that are not familiar with the anime, starts with Jonathan, and Jonathan is a nice, rich kid in contrast with another character that will be becoming the villain of the anime called Dio, who in contrast is poor and very messed up. So, long story short, Jonathan's dad ends up adopting Dio. And in their interactions, they really don't get along. And Dio pretty much hates Jonathan from the beginning. And this leads into a bunch of fighting amongst them. And this is where this good versus evil thing builds up. And I'm not going to go in an entire recap of the anime. But long and short of it is that Dio becomes this vampire thing. And Jonathan becomes this... what would you call it? He just becomes this like martial artist that can harness the sun through breathing. Yeah, pretty weird, but it's anime. So that happens, and throughout the anime they're fighting each other, going back and forth, and this leads us to the final scene of this anime where Dio comes back with just a head basically and a henchman, and he fights Jonathan one last time. Now in this interaction, they both actually end up, or we think they end up, burning up in this ship. And the only person that actually survives is Arena, who is Jonathan's wife at the time and a child. Or so we think. Fast forward a few chapters later, it is told to us that somehow, in some way, Dio ended up taking Jojo's body and actually going underneath a compartment within the coffin and surviving, and he ends up becoming the main villain of this anime again. I looked up online and tried to figure out if there were some theories. Some people think that Arena herself, because she's so kind, took them and put him in the coffin. Either way, none of these explanations really make sense, and it really turns out to be a really random moment within the anime. And this reminds me of another random moment in the Bible that happens in 2 Kings in the Old Testament, and this has to do with Elisha. For those that don't know, Elisha is the student of Elijah, who also was a prophet, and they performed many miracles. Elijah was pretty much like the first firebender of the Bible. He does do a lot of miracles that have to do with fire raining down from heaven. Elijah, in contrast with Elijah, it's a bit different. Most of his miracles tend to do more with helping people. Like we see that at one point he healed the water of Jericho, where people were going through famines and their crops weren't really growing, so he helped that community by healing the waters. And he also multiplied a bunch of bread and gave it to about 100 soldiers and fed them. And we also see a few random moments when it comes to miracles in Elijah. One of them being is that at some point he's walking and these dudes end up making fun of him. These young guys end up making fun of him because he's bald, and I guess that was a bad thing back then, or something to be made fun of. I mean, I guess people get made fun of for being bald today, maybe. But anyway, so they make fun of him, and he ends up having a bunch of bears attack these guys and mauling them, basically killing them. And for some reason we're told that they're female bears. I don't know really if there's any context with that or why female bears. So if one of you that is watching this is a fan of bears, I don't know, let me know if there's any link there. Anyway, so that's one of the random moments that we see from Elijah. The other random moment that really gets like 1 or 2 verses is that after Elisha actually dies, we see that there are these men that were about to bury somebody, but because there were some soldiers, some enemy soldiers that were coming, they end up not finishing burying him and just throw him in the tomb of Elisha. So out of that, the dude actually ends up resurrecting. So he ends up resurrecting and he's back to life. This event really gets like 1 or 2 verses, and there isn't any real explanation as to why or any rhyme or reason for it. I searched online, I looked at some commentary, MacArthur and a few other people, and the only thing that could be drawn from this is that God was still showing his power through Elisha even though he was dead. Meaning that his power only came from God, and even though he was dead, God was still performing miracles through him. But outside of that, it really is a really random moment in the Bible. It's very inconsequential in what's happening within the story at the time. I mean, I'm sure that whoever this guy was, his family was happy that he was alive again. But really, it just gets 2 verses, and that's all we hear about it. So there's a super random moment in Jojo's Bizarre Adventure that reminded me of this other super random moment in the Bible. Alright guys, well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I want to thank all of the new subscribers that I have. Thank you for your support. And here are a few more videos that you can check out if you want to watch a little bit more. So again, thank you. And as always, remember, we must persevere.